Hello and welcome to today's reflection. Today we're looking at Matthew's parable of the wheat and the weeds. So I'll read that for you. It's from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, 24 to 30. Jesus put before them another parable. The kingdom of heaven may be compared to someone who sowed good seed in his field. But while everyone was asleep, an enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and then went away. So when the plants came up and bore grain, then the weeds appeared as well. And the slaves of the householder came and said to him, Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? Where then did these weeds come from? He answered, An enemy has done this. The slaves said to him, Then do you want us to go and gather them? But he replied, No, for in gathering the weeds, you would uproot the wheat along with them. Let both of them grow together until the harvest. And at harvest time I will tell the reapers, collect the weeds first and bind them in bundles to be burned, but gather the wheat into my barn. For the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Now, the weed species mentioned is probably one called bearded darnel. It actually has an illustrious history. It's mentioned in sources from Ovid to Shakespeare, and it really does mimic the appearance of wheat until both plants reach maturity. And this seems to be its entire evolutionary strategy. Bearded darnel, however, is toxic to humans and indeed can be fatal in large enough quantities. By the time it's possible to distinguish between the two plants, their roots have intertwined to such an extent that the wheat would be irreparably damaged by pulling out the darnel. In a survey, it was found that 10% of the wheat crop in Ethiopia today is still darnel. So there's still no solution, even in the present day, to determining which plant is which, except for the careful work by hand of an expert. I want to talk about the wheat and the weeds within our own souls. And as I said, a parable opens up a cluster of different possible meanings. So I want to focus on the wheat and the weeds within our hearts. God has made us and has such enormously compassionate love for us that he nurtures all of us, even those parts of ourselves which we wish to reject. I invite you to feel that love, that compassion, gentleness, and patience. God's work in us will take time, and that is fine. We are often in such a hurry to be living our best lives now. And I know that many people were carrying extra unnecessary guilt through these lockdowns, that they hadn't made the most of it, that they hadn't learned another language or baked some perfect bread or saved the world or cherished the time with their children. But that's a burden we don't need. God is loving us into our best selves, but that's the work of a lifetime. Brendan Byrne, a Jesuit New Testament scholar here in Melbourne, writes, God is not inclined to root out evil so ruthlessly that good is also suppressed and much greater evil caused. God knows that good and evil in human hearts often stem from the same prior disposition. Go in and root out the one, and the capacity for the other may also be ruined. Better to give grace time to work its victory subtly. Then what has been wounded and hindered by evil will not be crushed, but rescued and transformed for life. So let us be open to receiving God's love. Let us be patient with the work of God within us. Let us be gentle to our own selves as God is with us.